The following story is brought to you by Coming Up Andy and The Butterfly. True stories pre-recorded.
Before we get into the real story, I have to give you some backstory. When I was a small child, I had two identical baby yellow blankets. I called them Blankie, until one day I decided the name Blankie Jr. is more adorable. So I decided to call both of them Blankie Jr. My sister, however, told me you can't name two things Junior. So I named one Blankie and the other Blankie Jr. However, I did enjoy the name Blankie Jr. better than the name Blankie, so whichever Blankie I was with at the time, I would call it Blankie Jr. For a while, you couldn't tell the difference, so I could feasibly say that I was always with Blankie Jr. because they looked the same. But at some point, I got a hole in one of the Blankies, and my dad stitched it up with orange thread. Now it was pretty obvious which Blankie was which, but I still decided to call whichever one I was with Blankie Jr. It was just a lie between myself and whichever Blankie I was with. It was fine. When I was about 9 years old, I went away to sleepaway camp. I was a little nervous because I was having trouble making friends, but everything was going to be fine because I had Blankie Jr., the blanket with the orange thread. One day at camp, I heard the counselors talking about going camping. I was really confused because I thought we already were camping. They said we were going to go into the wilderness with tents. I have to preface this camping trip by saying I had never gone camping before. I was terrified of the dark. I did not like bugs, and the two counselors they split my group up with were terrible. Keep in mind, this camping trip happened in about 2006. The first iPhone didn't come out till 2007. This was the age of the second generation iPod Nano. There are not modern portable chargers. These counselors brought a giant boombox size, heavy, portable electronic charger for their hair curlers. They were planning on curling and straightening their hair while we were camping in the wilderness. My terrible counselors went into the outhouse nearby and started screaming because they said they saw rats in there. Because they were so absolutely terrified, I knew I wasn't going to be able to go to the bathroom alone. So right before we went to sleep for the night, I grabbed Blankie Jr. I slowly walked over to the outhouse. It was a tall wooden stationary structure. I opened up the door very slowly. It was completely dark inside, except for a little votive candle on the back of the toilet bowl. It smelled really bad. I didn't want to just sit on this thing. What if there was a monster inside? So, I thought the only logical thing to do would be to look into the toilet bowl. Make sure there's nothing scary inside. I looked very slowly over the edge of the toilet bowl. I couldn't really see anything because it was dark, but that made it even scarier. As I was looking down inside, I felt Blankie slip out of my hands, and I watched as he slowly fell down deep into the toilet. And I don't know why, but I was so calm in that moment. Or maybe I was so scared that I couldn't move. I had just dropped my blanket into a dark demon hole filled with shit. I was crying. I just dropped my son into a toilet. My brain was malfunctioning. I was thinking, how on earth did I just do that? I burst open the door and I started screaming and crying and looking for the counselors to see if they could help. And there was one little tiny voice in the back of my head saying, Andy, calm down. It's gonna be fine. They can go get it. You will have it back. This is one of those moments when your mom and your sister tell you that you're overreacting, you're too sensitive, it's fine. You're gonna be fine. Blankie's gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. I don't remember, but I'm sure I asked her, can we get him back? And they told me, you don't want that, honey. You don't know me, ma'am, Miss Hair Curler. I want him back. I'm going to get him back. And you do not get to tell me what I am thinking. Because Blankie Jr. is my son and I need him. Of course, I didn't say that. I was just crying. And I was terrified of authority at the time, so I didn't say anything in any possibly rude way. But I just continued to cry, and I was very mad. When I got home, I saw Blankie sitting on my bed. I was about to say, Blankie Jr.! But Blankie Jr., with the orange thread, was at the bottom of the toilet. Many years later, probably 9 years later, when I was 18, I was babysitting my cousins. I told them the awful, awful story of Blankie Jr. When I was done, and they were fit with laughter, they asked me, why didn't you just fish him out with a stick? Why didn't I just fish him out with a stick? I wanted him back! I never even thought of that. The idea of going back into that porta potty and getting him back with a stick never crossed my mind. I wanted him back. I did not care if he was covered in feces. I didn't care.
Thank you for listening to today's story, brought to you by Coming Up Andy and The Butterfly. True stories, pre-recorded.
Why didn't I just get him stick and fish him out? It probably wasn't that far down.